Don't have time for long podcasts? We got you covered with powerful, short clips from Making Big Shifts. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.
Yeah, you continually mention, you just said they're owning a job, and I think that is so true, right? I mean, I'd say 75 to 80% of people probably there that are company owners, they own a job, right? So if someone is, maybe they're owning a job now, and they're looking, maybe in 5 years they want some of this optionality, that how they can try to become less founder centric. What should they start doing now, like to start moving down that path?
So in my newest book, which comes out May 1st of this year, 2026, the first thing I suggest is you need to take stock of where you're at. Most people, myself included, came out of law school, came out of government work, and I opened up my own small business, and I landed on that founder's treadmill squarely, and I started to run.
Yeah.
And Josh, it was a dream come true. I loved it. I could solve every problem. I ended up hiring about 8 people to help me, but everything routed through me. I was the king. There wasn't a thing that happened that I didn't know about or that I thought I couldn't do better or improve. But to answer your question, I think a lot of people, myself included, you get running on that treadmill, the founder's treadmill, and you forget that is not a system that's designed to last forever. Yeah. Not if you want to build something that is saleable, valuable, investable. You're going to eventually have to either change or improve to a less founder-dependent model. And so where do you start? Take stock of where you're at. Yeah, that's not really a system. That's a treadmill. And the only reason it works is because you keep running.
Yeah.
And so let's think about that first. Would you like to change that? And I give people 3 options. I'll wrap this up quick. It's a long answer. I give people 3 options. One, now that you know your system is you, the treadmill, maybe that's what you love, and maybe it's what you want to enjoy. Mm-hmm. Keep running. Good luck, my friend.
Yeah.
A second option is, I love being the smartest guy in the room. I like being in control, but I would like to have a better growth engine. I would like to take 2 or 3 weeks off every year and not have to check in every day and not see my business collapse. So maybe I could just make it less founder dependent. Yeah. And that's absolutely a great option. So it's a middle ground, right?
Right.
And then the final one is, and this is what I did with my small businesses. I laid out a plan I laid out over a 5-year plan, 3 upgrades per year. You could take 10 years if you wanted to, but there are a total of about 15 key steps to take to get you completely off the treadmill and to implement a business system, not a job with overhead, but a real business designed to work for you.
And then that's the book, The Founder's Treadmill, lays out those 15 steps essentially.
It is. And I wrote it as more of a field guide. Again, you can read it in pieces or parts, but you could probably read it in a good long weekend. And not to brag or to be too bold, but if you're a small business owner, it'll change your life.
I love that. But it's so true. The Founder's Treadmill, like you have this idea. You think you can make some kind of income doing something, selling some service, right? And you're looking at a service-based industry. You're thinking, well, I'm going to make 80% margins. Let's start an LLC. So you start an LLC. After 1 year, you're like, oh shit, I got to do something about quarterly estimated taxes. And then you got to worry about taxes. And maybe I should be an S Corp, right? And it's just one thing after another because you're trying to service clients. And unless you actually stop and think about what you just said, which of those paths do you want to take? Nothing's ever going to change. So I think looking at the end goal in mind is absolutely brilliant move and obviously the right call.
And the reason I laid the book out as I did, 3 upgrades per year, each year for 5 years. And you might have a couple already accomplished. You might take 7 years.
Yeah.
But if you like what you do and you make a good living and the business is growing, let's not disrupt any of that. But you can gradually improve it with a goal in mind. In other words, this is where the 2 books work together.
Yeah.
Have a plan and build with the end in mind. But it helps to know where you're going before you get there.
And we talked about this before, like the to-do list, things of that nature. I'm very much that kind of guy that I set a goal or we have like these 15 steps. I want to knock them out right away. Or as I'm reading Building with the End in Mind, you said there's 50 steps, 50 sections in that, right? And, I'm probably 15 to 20 through there of those. But then, now I'm thinking, well, I got 30 more. I need to get those done now. You know what I mean? There's so much information there. How do you tell new businesses that they can't do it all at once? And that's probably where you go with just the 3 upgrades a year, right?
Well, Josh, I don't tell them they can't. I just tell them, here's my recommendation. Here's the order. Here's the sequence. Here's the time frame, so that you don't break what you've already built. And so the goal is not to turn the treadmill off or to throw it in the dumpster. You can do that eventually, but let's move slowly and gracefully and purposefully, and that's the best way. But trust me, I would much rather have an entrepreneur who you have to pull the reins in on than one that you have to, kind of kick them in the butt to get them going.
For sure.
Always better to have too much energy and enthusiasm.
Want to watch the full episode? Click the link in the description and enjoy the complete conversation. Thanks for watching.